hope everyone's enjoying the first day of Cannes. Massive thank you to Stagwell for having us here. Super excited to be having this conversation right now, not only as a huge sports fan, but also as the president of Advertising and Partnerships. My job is working with brands to find the right storytelling opportunity within our content. And this conversation with incredible talent like Jordan, and the passion around sports intensifying, I'm so thrilled to be kicking off our discussion today. And Jordan, actually, I'd love to start with you. You are truly that it girl, as in the title. You've shown up at some of the biggest arenas in sport, and I imagine there are so many brands that want an opportunity to work with you. Beyond that, you've crafted your own personal brand. It's highly desired, incredibly appealing, both to advertisers and fans. Can you share a little bit about your journey to becoming the powerhouse you are, and tell us a little bit about what it was like to write your book, I'm That Girl, Living the Power of My Dreams?
Yes, of course. Well, first off, thank you guys so much for having me here. I love being able to talk about my story, my passion, and becoming this resilient powerhouse I am today. But, you know, everybody's stories are different. Everybody's narratives are written different as well. Their chapters, their lessons that they learn. Some people fail. Some people, you know, succeed almost every single day. So the biggest thing of writing my story in my own book, I'm That Girl, really came from what my story is. People can say things on social media. People can say things throughout whatever it is, but I wanted everybody to know who Jordan is. Jordan Chiles, you know, yes, I can say I'm named after Michael Jordan, I'm a two-time Olympian, I'm all these things, but there is more to that. There is the, you know, dedication I took into not being able to go to school dances or not being able to go to birthday parties, and, you know, that trauma that I went through as an athlete. And so the moment that I was just so proud of myself being able to put that book out was really when I realized all the trauma that I went through, reliving it, I finally can just let it go. I finally can just be like, if people ask about it, I'm like, yeah, you can go read about it. Yes, you can go do all these things, but understanding that I wouldn't be in this position right now if it wasn't for those things that I learned, and I failed and kept failing until I succeeded. And I think being able to understand that and write a really cool and best best book that I've ever read in my life, and I get to, you know, say that's my story, and that people get to, you know, live that.
I love that, and as I said to you, I'm in the middle of reading your story, and it's really a wonderful depiction of your journey. But you are here with a ton of marketers too, here on the beach. So I would love for you to share a little light on how are you thinking about brand partnerships now, and what do you look for in a brand collaboration now that you've really defined your story for us?
I think the biggest thing in brands is understanding that every athlete is different, but if you know who they are, then that's what's going to make your brand pop out even more. Understanding that, yes, you know, we wake up every morning doing the same thing over and over again, but when it comes to that one specific brand that we love so much to our heart, that's like our own sport. That's something that we're going to keep dear to us, that we're going to make sure it's on point, and we're going to make sure, you know, that we get to live out our best dreams throughout our brands. Our brand are just like me flipping on a 4-inch piece of wood. It's something that I practice each and every day to make sure it's perfect and perfect and perfect. And so with any brand, I think, you know, if you understand that athlete and you understand what they're authentic to, which is typically themselves and typically to what they live for, then you're going to have a better outcome in what you're trying to do. Whether it's through social media, whether it's through TV, whether it's through any, you know, photo shoot that they do, I think just understanding that authenticity that they have, it will bring out even a bigger eye-opening to the audience and to what people are trying to see.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to ask Zena the next question. Sephora has embodied the idea of beauty as a form of self-expression and empowerment, and knowing your mission is to change the narrative around sports and beauty and build confidence in young girls and women in sport. How do you approach these partnerships to go beyond a marketing effort and really make an impact?
Yeah, I think we are in a fascinating era of sports in that everyone, women and men, it's becoming much more about what's around the athlete, what inspires them, and how do they express themselves. And beauty is one key way that a lot of people like to express themselves. And for us, when we think about the partnerships that we want to build and grow, we want to have an authentic role in supporting the athletes and the fans in a unique way that's only Sephora. So great example for us, we recently signed on as the sponsor of the Golden State Valkyries in the WNBA. And yes. And for us, it wasn't just about getting financial sponsorship of the team. We thought, well, what is something that Sephora can do and bring to the athletes that is uniquely us and that helps them in what they want to do? So we're actually the named sponsor of the Performance Center. It's actually one of only 4 performance centers that the WNBA has throughout the league. And we were able to put in a Sephora lounge and glam room, and the players absolutely love it because they know it's a place for them to go. They can film their get ready with me videos, they can relax, they can enjoy and get kind of the benefits that they want to do. And that's something that only we can do.
Yeah, it's, again, that sense of authenticity that Jordan brought up. It's so authentic to Sephora. So I'm going to switch gears now. Mark, from beauty to food. Mark, as the CMO of PepsiCo, with brands that are familiar with athletes and sports partnerships, how are you thinking about partnerships with different properties, different assets across your company, and how has your approach evolved over time?
I think Jordan said it right. It's about authenticity and storytelling. Ultimately, I actually don't like the word sponsorship. You don't sponsor someone. You help build their story. You help build their brand. So I think ultimately we're all brand builders. And I think sports is just another way, another channel to build your brand, whether it's through working with you and others in terms of messaging and advertising, or it's working with brands and great athletes. It is all about storytelling. And I think that mind shift has shifted over the last 5 to 10 years. And it's shifted because we're telling different stories. I think the rise in women's sport has gotten people to step back and ask themselves, well, what story am I telling? How can I tell a bigger story? I think if you look back at the history of PepsiCo, you look at Gatorade, we had Mia Hamm in an ad in 1997, celebrating women's soccer before people were talking about women's soccer. You look at what we're doing with Paige, look what we're doing with Caitlin. At NIL all the way through their professional careers, we're helping them build their narrative and their story. And I think that's the mind shift. We can get impressions, we can buy all the different visibility we want, but you can't buy authenticity. And from authentic athletes who are the best at what they do to brands that can actually add value by helping them build their brand and tell their story, that's exactly why there's a glam room. That's exactly why we're building labs in our clubs for Gatorade. And whether it's food or beverage, always challenge yourself to have that authentic story and understand how are you helping each other build your brands. That's the main change.
Yeah, that's great. This question is for Zena and Mark, and I want to just ask you to build a little bit on this. I mean, I know, again, there's a lot of marketers in the room, and I'm curious what advice you would give to brands that are looking maybe for the first time to expand into sports or to partner with an athlete. Are there any best practices or learnings that maybe you could share with us?
Yeah, so at Sephora, we are new into the sports sponsorship arena. We have not been doing it for many, many years. And what's been really interesting is coming into the space, we've taken a very new and fresh approach to how we think about sponsorships. And a lot of the partners we've talked to have said, oh, this is different. A lot of brands come in who, especially to women's sports, who have sponsored men's sports before and have said, great, this is the deal we have with this men's team, so here's how we want to set up the deal with the women's team. And we, coming in as a complete new person to this space, have just said, okay, how should we structure this? What are the kinds of things that we should be doing? And these partners have said, oh, wow, this is a really new, novel approach. So my recommendation is to those who are already sponsoring a lot of men's sports, come at women's sports with a different approach. The athletes have different needs. The engagement levels that they are interested in are different. And it's different leagues, different approaches. And so I tell you, approach it that way when you think about how you to craft a sponsorship.
Yeah, I would build on that and say that actually be consistent and don't do it as a one-off. I mean, people see through the one-off sponsorships. You know, if you look at our partnerships, we're the oldest existing NBA sponsor, you know, in terms of the history. You look at our relationship with the NFL across our portfolio. We just entered F1. And we're entering F1 not because, oh, F1's cool. We're entering F1 because there's a story to tell there across different brands in our portfolio. So I think about the longevity and looking at it as truly part of your brand narrative is the most important thing. If someone is challenging you to go do a deal because you'll get eyeballs or that you might get tickets or hospitality, please don't do it. You know, do it because you believe in it. You believe in the athletes. You believe in the stories you can tell together, and do it for years. You know, I think every year, I mean, one of the things we just did on Pepsi, you know, we actually created the first ever Pepsi international campaign for women's Euros, right? I had to really push the system to think differently about that. I changed roles, but to leave and see that as a legacy where you can watch a brand that's always been synonymous with a sport, take it to new heights through the women's game, but staying authentic globally to what that brand has always done in the sport. Those are the types of things you have to do. You have to make sure you leave a legacy, carry the torch, and be consistent year on year.
Oh, that's great. I'm going to ask all of you to think about this question, and Jordan, I'm going to start with you. One of the biggest appeals to an athletic partnership for a brand is the audience or the community, right, that it brings to the brand, especially in our digital era when audiences are so fragmented. So from each of your perspectives, and you have very unique perspectives, how do athlete partnerships elevate both the athlete's brand and the partner's brand? And what are the benefits in this very fragmented marketplace?
I think being a part of women in sports now and understanding that as an athlete, we want to be seen the same way that you see us on our sport, right? Like in our sport. So I want to be seen the same way that I am flipping on a beam, running down a vault runway, the same way that, you know, a brand is going to put me out. For instance, a Super Bowl commercial that I recently just did, that was something that I never thought in a million years I would be a part of, but Nike knew, okay, we know how Jordan works. We know how she's going to be seen. We want to make sure that whoever is watching this, that's what they're going to feel as well. And so with brands, I think it's really cool to see how, you know, whether I'm an athlete, whether I'm an actress, an artist, whatever it is, that no matter where I'm at, I want to be the same person. And I think that's basically what we've been talking about this whole time, is that authenticity that we have, because at the end of the day, I want to be able to walk down the street and you not look at me because you saw one person one way and another person a different way, but it's the same person that you see on and off the field or on and off the mat, wherever it's at. So my biggest thing is just really letting myself be who I am and understanding that my brands are going to be able to show me in that way as well.
Yeah. And your fans come along for the ride.
And yes, of course, 100%. No matter where I'm at, I literally, you know, the support system. I think that's also, as athletes, we really take in and cherish is our supporters. Fans, people we see, family, whoever they are, as long as they understand who I am and they know that each brand that I'm working with understands that, then it's like a huge community thing. Especially being a woman of color, that's a huge community thing, knowing that no matter where I'm at, I get to feel comfortable in my own skin and that every little girl around me gets to do the exact same.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, appreciate that. Zena?
Yeah, one of the most interesting things that we've seen coming out of our sponsorships in sports, and we've really just been doing it for 6 months, so we're still early days, but is all the wonderful content that's created, and especially when you can be that authentic presence in not just athletes, but also in the fans' lives. The content that comes out of it is absolutely amazing. The fascinating thing, too, about Sephora and the products that we carry is we cater to a lot of different types of people and people looking for beauty. In our Unrivaled sponsorship, which is a new women's basketball league, we sponsored the Glam Room again, and one of the best pieces of content was early in the season. All the players were coming in, and they are on the full spectrum of beauty. Some total glam girls. They have their makeup done, their nails done. They love every single second of it. But what was really cool was to see the players coming in who were not glam, but they said, hey, I still need something that's going to keep my hair out of my eyes. Hey, I still want my brows to look on point, even if I don't wear makeup. And us being able to be there and help all of them was a really cool, unique moment. And the content coming out of that and the unique love that they have for us really shone through in that.
So the digital media and the platforms really amplify that entire story for you.
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
I think what's also really important is to think about how it connects people who may not be into a sport. I have 2 daughters, so I'm a girl dad, and I learned so much from their behaviors on what they're into. Like, I was watching the WNBA draft, for example, and they were so into the fashion of the draft, not to mention the fact they're all amazing athletes. You know, you just did SI swimsuit. Like, there's something amazing about how digital and social allows you to extend your story to audiences and bring them in. They may not be a fan of your team, but they become a fan of you. You know, leagues, teams themselves are leveraging their players to build social narratives that maybe aren't on script, but they actually create the script. So I think there's something really special. And when I look at how I want to reach consumers with my brands and why I would want to partner with an athlete, it's got to be additive to that story. And a lot of that addition actually comes from social and digital storytelling. And I think that's where the evolution is going. And if you're not thinking about how I'm going to partner with someone through social at the beginning of a discussion about doing a partnership, then I think you're actually missing the point. You've got to find a way to build that in from the beginning. And then all the other things, all the traditional things that you get, they just round it out. And I think that's the big difference that digital and social is making.
No, I agree.
And to kind of piggyback off that from the athlete's perspective, because we're the ones who are constantly going on social media, we try our best to make sure everybody sees each and every side of us. And I think that's why it's also cool because, you know, I like fashion 100%. So yes, I'm going to show you the fashion side, and yes, I have dogs and all these things. And I think that's why it's easier for brands to reach out because of that. Because we get to show different sides of us. Because again, we're more than just athletes. We can be, an entrepreneur. We can be a doctor, a nurse, whatever it is we put our minds to. So being able to have that, and then our audience gets to tag along in that experience, is what really makes it even more fun for us to embrace each brand that we have.
Yeah, it certainly makes it easier to at least the entree, right? Building that authenticity. So I'm going to spend some time on a final question, which is a little bit of forward-looking. When you think about the future of athlete and sports partnerships, as the fandom around live sports continues to grow, new platforms and technology, share a little, a spark on where you see this going and maybe what you're most excited about.
I mean, I'll start. I think what's interesting, this kind of connection between traditional, digital, social in sport is changing. We saw it with the Olympics. Yeah. We see it with the NBA Finals. We see it with all sports today. The interconnection of what's happening in those 90 minutes, those 60 minutes, to what's happening in culture throughout the week leading up to it, after, and sometimes during. MLB actually is interviewing guys during the game. I'm not sure it's always a good idea, but it brings a different story. It actually brings a narrative. So to me, what's changing is this kind of intimacy that you're bringing to sport through storytelling. And you are linking traditional sponsorship and partnership, traditional media, to social, to individual. And I think that's the exciting part, because no one's figured out what's perfect. everyone's experimenting. No one thought that Snoop was going to blow up the Olympics the way he did.
And he did.
And he did. And he had a way of actually helping tell the stories of the amazing athletes in a new way. They brought in a new audience. So that, to me, is the exciting part.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to piggy off, Snoop, he was literally everywhere. I don't know how he did it, but I swear it was like, oh, you're at gymnastics, and now you're at equestrian, and now you're over here at track and field. Like, he was doing amazing things, but I think that's also why we got to enjoy those type of things, is being able to bring every culture into what we do. Sports wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for music, if it wasn't for us watching TV, if it wasn't, because we have those abilities to interact with ourselves. I can attest to having an artist everywhere I go. I had Beyonce at Paris. There was so many things. Gymnastics did a thing with NBC with Beyonce, right, with her new album that had came out. So I think it's really being able to interact with as many people as possible to really curate something amazing. Like Mark was saying about the storytelling. Each and every day we have behind the scenes. I'm pretty sure you can go on TikTok and find, say, Suni's behind the scenes of her makeup routine, or, and I think that's why it's so cool, because you have the opportunity to live that moment, and that you can just continue on that narrative, to continue on that story of, okay, what's next? What are they doing? How is this going to play out? And just really enjoy what is happening in the moment and to see what the outcome is. So that's why I do what I do as well. I don't just, I will give you the inside scoop of everything at this, or I am an open book. Like, I will tell you that, oh, you know what? I didn't wake up this morning very well. Like, I will completely tell you, but I think that's why, as athletes, it's always cool to understand our stories, because they are something that we get to write every single day.
Well, and I love in your book, Snoop is a factor
Yes,
in your
he
book.
is.
And for us, really weaving in pop culture, right? And having that perfect marriage of entertainment and sports at a time we were reimagining the Olympics, right? And Paris itself was part of the story. We brought 27 creators to Paris for the first time. That is the first time we've ever done that, in order to bring their communities into how we told the story. So we, on one hand, had Snoop sort of as the ambassador, but then you also brought in the individual communities through the eyes of these 27 creators, which was a very new thing for NBC to do, but it was quite effective in trying to really, sports is the cultural connector, right? But you have to do it in a way that caters to the individual audience. So I completely agree. Zena, tell us what.
Yeah, I'd say that sports is becoming even more a part of culture. I think it's shifting from athletes and sports themselves being extremely aspirational, and now the authenticity that all of the athletes are showing, their beauty routines, their fit checks in the tunnel, it's just more a part of who they are as people. And now, especially Gen Z, they want to know more and more about who are these people that I respect. It's not just the performance I want to know about. I want to know about their lives. I want to know about their dogs. I want to know about all of these things. And I think it's a really, really great place to be, because it's taking the aspirational performance, but also linking that back to, this is also a human being and someone that I want to know more, that I want to connect with. And it's a really great opportunity for brands to come in to play that authentic role that we can in that space.
Well, it's interesting. We've seen, this sounds like a funny stat, but like over 90% of our viewers are really connecting to live programming and live sports, because it helps them connect with others. It's as much about the incredible talent, it's as much about, the incredible storytelling, but it's also the way they feel when they can share it with someone else, right? In this very interesting digital divide, when everyone may be watching a different program at a different time on a different platform, sports is the unifier.
I think it's not only a unifier, it's amplification, right? I mean,
that's
I love
correct.
the fact that NBC embraced bringing creators and bringing people into that world, because in the past, you'd say they're stealing eyeballs. And the reality is that they're amplifying and bringing new ones in. I mean, Paul, who was up here earlier, he's building an entire league through social and digital. he realizes that he can reach new audiences and bring a league that's not maybe the traditional broadcast league through the players, through digital and social. So I commend both what athletes are doing and what networks are doing to actually use social to amplify the story. It's a big change.
Yeah, it is a big change. And I think what's exciting from my perspective in the future is that we are going to see the ecosystem grow.
Yeah.
So, I think, Jordan, you are a perfect example of, world-class, unmatched athletic talent. But now suddenly the ecosystem is at your feet, right? And we have announcers who are athletes. We have journalists who are athletes. We have business creators who are athletes. And it's not just the sports and the teams themselves, but it's actually the entire business that we're building around it. And it's interesting and exciting to see athletes like you be at the center of that. So.
Thank you. I mean, we try everything. I feel like as athletes, we have creative minds. So I think, why not, if we can put ourselves in a position to trying to make an Olympic team, I feel like there's other things that we can create or, curate for ourselves. Yeah. So it's really cool, like you were saying, to see those athletes do that. I mean, Serena Williams is one of the best examples I can use because she not only has elevated in her sport, but in her business as well. So it's been cool just to see every athlete do their own thing outside of their sport, but are still known for who they are.
Of course. No. Any other last thoughts?
Yeah, I would say it's a nascent, growing place of women's sports, and I would just want to see it continue. I think getting the sponsors, getting the unique kind of authentic activations is so important. So I tell everyone, and great point, it shouldn't be a one-off. Commit to this, make it happen, grow authentically with the leagues and the athletes and the teams and brands.
No, I've just heard someone say, you've got to be all in. You've got to attend the games. You got to buy the merch, right? You got to watch the show, and you got to support the community. Yeah, so, all right. Well, this has been an incredible conversation, and I'm sorry we're out of time. Before I let you go, I just want to say thank you to Stagwell, Jordan, Zena, and Mark for your participation today. Team NBCU is gearing up for a massive year in sports with the NBA, the Super Bowl, the Olympics, the World Cup, and more. So these lessons today on this new playbook for athletic partnerships could not have come at a better time. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.